Good evening. The two topics which I have fixed for the coming 2 days, that is for today and tomorrow, and maybe we will be able to complete that even before. One is we talk about, if you look into the syllabus, Indian political thought, we have Dharmshastra, Arthashastra, Buddhist tradition, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Sri Aurobindo, M.K. Gandhi. These are the people. So Aurobindo we have done, M.K. Gandhi we have done, B.R. Ambedkar we have done, M.N. Roy we have done. All right. Now, what is left? Two important things that is left in Indian political thought. One is Dharmshastra, another is Arthashastra. Arthashastra is Kautilya's thought. Dharmshastra means Manusmriti. These two things we'll be doing. Buddhist tradition, I may not do. It's very simple. I'll be forwarding you the material. You can easily understand. There's nothing in that. Is completely descriptive. Nothing much to understand. Same is true of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. We can just do that. Okay. So the next two thinkers, so far as ancient Indian political thought is concerned, that we'll be doing is what we'll be doing is we will start with the Dharmshastra or Manusmriti, and then we'll be doing Arthashastra by Kautilya. All right. Let me give you a brief background about when we talk about Dharmshastra. Let us try to understand. Let us briefly discuss about ancient Indian political thought. When we talk about the ancient Indian political thought, see, when we talk the Western political thought, what is the primary objective? The primary objective of Western political thought is individualism. Primary objective of Western political thought is rights and freedom of the people. That is the primary objective of the Western political. When we talk about the ancient Indian political thought, the main objective of ancient political thought is to regulate people's conduct in order to ensure the smooth functioning of the society and in order to secure the welfare of all the individuals. Means, what is the prime objective of ancient Indian political thought? Those people, those philosophers, those Indian political philosophers, those people who are the propounders of ancient Indian political thought. So what is the primary objective of ancient Indian political thought? The first one is to regulate people's conduct, to regulate how the people behave. Okay, regulating people's conduct. Why it is essential to regulate the people's conduct? Because that would help in smooth functioning of the society. If people's conduct are not regulated, if people's conduct are not disciplined, that can create a situation of lawlessness, that can create a situation of anarchy in the state. So the prime objective of ancient Indian political thought, there are two prime objectives. One is to regulate people's conduct in order to ensure the smooth functioning of the society. And the second one is to secure the welfare of all the people, to secure welfare of all individuals. So regulation of people's conduct and securing welfare of the people, these are the two primary objectives of ancient Indian political thought. Right? And keeping this in mind, to achieve this, achieve what? Achieve regulation of people's conduct and welfare of the people. To achieve that, there are two different kind of traditions. All right? There are two different kind of traditions. objective is the same. So in ancient Indian political thought, we also find two different strengths. We find two different traditions for fulfillment of the same objective. Two objectives: regulating people's conduct to ensure the smooth functioning of the society and welfare of the people. Now, what are these two traditions? They are two separate traditions belonging to two separate periods. The first tradition is called Dharmshastra tradition, which we'll be discussing now. And the second tradition is Arthashastra tradition, that we'll be discussing after we complete Dharmshastra tradition. I'm just now giving them background. So there are two traditions in ancient Indian political thought. One is Dharmshastra tradition and another is Arthashastra tradition. All right. Now, when we talk about Dharmshastra tradition, it deals with regulations of the social conduct of the individual as well as the higher authorities. Dharmshastra talks about regulating the people's conduct, okay, regulating the conduct of the people and also regulating the conduct of the higher authorities, mean king and the other people. So Dharmshastra talks about regulation of the people's conduct in general and regulation of the conduct of the people belonging to higher authorities or the rulers. That is what it is. So Dharmshastra is a description of regulation of people's conduct in general, and also it regulates the conduct of the rulers or the higher authorities. This is what you need to understand. Now, when we talk about the Arthashastra tradition, this deals with regulation of the civic life, that is social life, and problems of governance, as well as judicial procedure. So there is a difference. What is the difference? In Arthashastra tradition, it is dealing with people's civic life, people's social life, and problems of governance and the judicial procedure. That is also included in that, in the Arthashastra tradition. All right. So, broadly speaking, we have two different traditions. The first tradition, Arthashastra tradition, Manu is considered to be the chief exponent of Dharmshastra. Manu, and the source is Manu Smriti. So Manu is regarded as the chief exponent of Dharmshastra tradition, while Kautilya is regarded as the chief exponent of Arthashastra tradition. All right. So for regulating people's conduct and for securing welfare of the people, there are two different traditions. One is called Dharmshastra tradition, another is called Arthashastra tradition. In Dharmshastra tradition, emphasis is on dharma, emphasis is on ethics, emphasis is on morality, emphasis is on dharma. Okay, but in Arthashastra tradition, emphasis is on materialism. It is not that the spiritualism is not there; it is also there. But in Arthashastra, as we said, as we will look into it within a while from now, in Arthashastra tradition, the emphasis is on materialism, and in Dharmshastra tradition, emphasis is on dharma or spiritualism. Right now, so these two separate traditions that I'm talking about, they reveal the fact that regulating the social and moral life of the individual on the one hand, and regulating the civil and political life of the individual on the other hand, they are being kept separate. Try to understand the point. When we talk about the two separate traditions, what we find is that, as I've told you, Dharmshastra is about the significance of dharma, religion, and spirituality. And Arthashastra is giving emphasis on materialism. So these two separate traditions reveal a very important fact, that social and moral life of the individual and civil and political life of the individual, they should largely be kept separate. All right. Now, another question that may crop up is that how ancient Indian political thought, consisting of two different kind of traditions, Dharmshastra and Arthashastra, how ancient Indian political thought or ancient Indian tradition, how they are different from ancient Greek tradition. We have studied about Plato, we have studied about Aristotle. Okay. So how do we compare ancient Indian political thought with the Greek political thought? Because Greek political thought is the origin of the Western political thought. How do we compare the two? All right. The basic difference between the ancient Indian tradition and the Greek tradition is the fact that in the Greek tradition, all aspects of people's life, now try to understand my point, that under the Greek tradition, all aspects of people's life, whether it is civic life, whether it is a moral life, they are regulated by the state. Means state is the regulator under the ancient Greek political thought. State is the regulator of both civic as well as moral life of the state. All right. Are you getting a point? Both civic and moral life, both the civic and moral aspects of the life of the people are regulated by the state. So state will decide about the morality, okay, in the Greek political thought. All right. But in ancient Indian political thought, these two things are kept separate, as I have told you. All right. But in Greek political thought, they are intermixed. Means the state is the regulator of both the civic life as well as the religious and moral life of the people. All right. Now, that was about the background, about the ancient Indian political thought. Now, who is the main exponent of Dharmshastra? Now, we are we'll be putting our focus on Dharmshastra. So, who is the main exponent of Dharmshastra? Manu. Okay, Manu is considered to be a lawgiver, one who has given the law. All right. So, Manu is the lawgiver, and he is also the author of Manusmriti. Manusmriti is nothing but a code of Manu, code of conduct given by Manu. All right. And everybody has to follow that code of conduct. So, exponent of Dharmshastra is Manu, and he is the one who is the author of Manusmriti, that is code of conduct given by Manu. All right. Now, there is no consensus among the scholars. There is no definite consensus among the scholars about the date and period of Manu. Nobody knows. All right. There is no clarity about that. Hopkins, a Western historian, while talking about Manu, says that Manu lived and produced his work, that is Manusmriti, somewhere around the beginning of Christian era. Okay. Manu produced his Manusmriti somewhere around the beginning of the Christian era, or slightly before that. This is what is said by Hopkins, Hopkins. Hopkins says, talking about the origin of Manusmriti, he says that Manu lived during the period of during the Christian era, and either slightly before the Christian era, or during the Christian era, this Manusmriti was produced. Now, going in some details about Dharmshastra tradition or Manusmriti. What is the foundation of? Let us first talk about the foundation of social organization. Initially, to begin with, if you talk about Dharmshastra, initially it was based on very sound logic and rationality, but later on, gradually, it became dogmatic. Dogmatic means full of rituals. So initially, it was based on logic, some kind of logic, but later on, it got reduced to dogma, or it got reduced to certain parochial ideas or certain rituals. All right. Why it happened? Because Dharmshastra was interpreted and exploited by some sections of the society who belong to the upper echelon or who belong to the higher strata. Okay, they used Dharmshastra, okay, to serve their vested interest and perpetuate social injustice. So initially, to begin with, Dharmshastra tradition used to believe in logic. It was very logical. But later on, when it began, there was no dogma. There was no rituals. All right. But later on, after some time, it became ritualistic, it became dogmatic, and under the garb of dogma, under the garb of ritualism, certain influential sections within the society or the people belonging to the higher strata in the Varna system, okay, they used Dharmshastra for perpetuating their vested interest and for perpetuating social injustice in society. All right. What is the basis of Dharmshastra thought? What is the basis? The whole range of creation, we are talking about the universe, the whole range of creation is based on certain pattern, and it is called interrelated pattern. And what is that? That pattern is known as absolute Brahm. That is, God is the creator of the universe. What is the idea? What is the core of Dharmshastra? The core of Dharmshastra is a kind of interrelated pattern, and under that pattern, absolute Brahm or the God is supposed to be the creator of the entire universe. Right? So what was the social organization under Dharmshastra? It talked about division of society into the 4 Varna system. What we are discussing, we are in ancient Indian political thought, we are discussing the first tradition, that is Dharmshastra tradition. And now what we are discussing social organization of the Dharmshastra. Now, the entire society is divided into 4 Varnas. You are aware of that. And roughly speaking, generally speaking, these 4 Varnas, roughly they were corresponding to 4 different castes. 4 Varnas means 4 different castes. Right. So Varna system got very closely related with the caste system. Right. So 4 Varnas roughly corresponding to 4 different castes. Right. And every section of the Varna system has to perform a function depending upon its inherent capability. Okay. So, what is the social organization of Varna system? It is based on division of society into 4 Varnas, and 4 Varnas are basically 4 different castes. Right? And every section has to perform a function depending upon its inherent capability that is possessed with. Right? So, Brahmins, they will be taking care of intellectual and spiritual function. Kshatriyas, The second under the Varna system, they would specialize in fighting with the enemies. All right. And they would be fit to be the rulers. So because of their strength, because of their specialization in fighting, so Kshatriyas will be fit to be the rulers. So first is the Brahmins who would be doing intellectual and the spiritual function, and the Kshatriyas, because of their specialization in fighting, they would fit to become a ruler. So they would become rulers. All right. Now, then we have a third one in the Varna system, Vaishya community. You are aware of that. All right. They have more appetite for wealth. They have more appetite for business. They have more appetite for industry, and they would be the class who would be possessing a lot of wealth. So Vaishya community, the third in the what we call the Varna system, they have an aptitude for business and industry, right? And they have an aptitude for wealth, and so they would be the class who would be possessing a lot of wealth. All right. The fourth one, okay, the Sudras. They are fit to perform manual work, or they are fit to provide services to the society. Right. Now, if you remember, when we're discussing B.R. Ambedkar, and while doing a scientific and anthropological investigation of the caste system, Varna system and the caste system, he clearly said that Sudras were originally not the part of the Varna system, right? But usually when we talk about the Varna system, in the Varna system, Sudras are considered to be a part of the Varna system. According to one school of thought, Sudras are not essentially part of the Varna system. All right. Now, so there are four components of the Varna system, as I have told you. All right. And these four components are Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishya community, responsible for trading and industry, and the Sudras responsible for doing manual work, cleaning work, or providing services to the society. Right. Now, among the four Varnas that we are talking about, Brahmins enjoyed the highest status. So who had we are discussing social system under the Dharmshastra tradition. All right. So among the four Varnas, Brahmins enjoyed highest status. Kshatriyas and Vaishya community were placed after the Brahmins. All right. And Sudras were relegated to the lowest status. Okay? That is the social structure. Under the Dharmshastra tradition. All right. Now, what is the doubt now? Where is the lack of clarity? What is the doubt? And this is very important for us to understand. The doubt is on the fact whether Manu, who is the first king and the lawgiver, whether he treated the fourfold hierarchical division of the Varna system as a divine exercise or not. That is the question. What is the main question? That four Varna system that we are talking about, is it created by the divine or it is created by the man? So what is the origin of the Varna system? The four Varnas that we are talking about, okay, the hierarchy that we have created, hierarchical division of the society, Brahmins at the top, Kshatriya after that, and then Vaishya community, and then the Sudras that we are talking about. So whether this fourfold hierarchical division of society was divine based or not, or whether it involves sanction of the divine or not, that is the primary question. All right. Second question is that how the social status of the person was determined, whether a person belongs to the Brahmin community, whether he belongs to the Kshatriya, or whether he belongs to the Sudra community, or whether he belongs to the Vaishya community. So the social status that each individual was enjoying, okay, what was the source of that? Was it determined by the birth? That if you are taking birth in the Brahmin in the Brahmin varnas and the Brahmins, you become a Brahmin. So first question I have, as there is a doubt, is that social status. First question is whether this varna system had a divine blessing or not. Okay. Second question is the social status that each individual was enjoying, whether it was determined by birth or not. The second. All right. And third question, and very relevant one, whether there would be any scope for mobility from one varna system to another varna system. Was it possible for a people belonging to Shudra community to migrate towards the West community, or whether the West community could be migrating towards whether the West community would be migrating towards what you call the Kshatriya community, or whether the Kshatriya community can migrate towards the Brahmin community. So whether there is any scope for social mobility, whether it was there or not, that is also not very clear. All right. So two questions, and that remains unanswered. That whether this varna system was divine created, had divine blessing. Number two, whether the social status that the people used to enjoy, whether it's determined by birth or not. And the third one, whether there is any scope for migrating from one class to another class, or from one varna system to another varna system. So that is the question which has unanswered. All right. Now, then Dharmshastra tradition talks about the three kind of virtues, or three kind of gunas, or three kind of virtues. Okay. Sattva guna, Rajas guna, and Tamas guna. Okay. Now, before I started discussing the guna system, if you have any question in your mind, whatever we have discussed so far, you can ask. No, the three questions that I have asked, okay, there is absolutely no clarity on that. Okay, there is absolutely no clarity. The question remains the question. It is very vague, and there is no answer to these questions. All right. Now, three gunas: Sattva gun, Rajas gun, and Tamas gun. Sattva guna means highest level of virtue. Means Sattva guna talks about the goodness of the individual. Okay. So you find even now, you find different kinds of people. Some people are so good, some people are not so good, but not so bad also. All right. But some people are bad. So you find different kind of people, and people having different kind of virtues. What I call, if you ask me to explain, I would call it a sanskar. All right. I will call it sanskar. You have your own sanskaras, I have my own sanskara. So all of us who are now on this platform, we have a different sanskar. For some people, materialism is more important, profit is more important. Okay. For some people, materialism, money is more important. For some of us, helping people is more important. All right. For some people, honesty is more important. For some people, honesty may not be very important. So, depending on the sanskara that we have inherited, all right, so we have a different kind of gunas. All right. So, three gunas that we find a description in what you call in Dharmshastra. Okay, they are Sattvagun means highest level of virtue, means goodness of the individual. A person is goodness, a person is good to the core. Okay, a superb kind of person, very superb individual. Okay, having all the good qualities in him. So highest level of virtue is called Sattuguna or goodness of the individual. Okay, and a person having Sattuguna will be very kind, he will be very tolerant, he will be very calm, he will be very alert, he will be very thoughtful. So these are the qualities. The very highest kind of virtues. Then there is a Rajas Guna, middle level of virtues. People who are neither so good, not so bad. Middle level of virtues. Rajas Guna. Now, the people who have this kind of nature is based on the people who have peasant, lot of peasant. People who have emotional, people who are reactionary. Right. So the second category of people, middle level of virtue, neither not so good, neither very good, nor very bad, the middle level of virtue. Such people have a lot of passion, a lot of emotions, a lot of they react. Right. So they are the one, and their passion, when they will have a passion, they will have passion for a lot of things, they will have passion for money. So their passion takes them to the path of greed. They make them very ambitious. They make them restless. They make them very angry very soon. So such kind of people, such kind of guna is called Rajas Guna. All right. Then there is a third category under the guna system, what we call Tamas Guna. Tamas Guna means lowest level of virtue. The first one, highest level of virtue. The second one, middle level of virtue. And third one, lowest level of virtue. Now, lowest level of virtue signifies darkness. Signifies darkness, signifies dullness. All right. It leads a person towards idleness. People would not like to do anything. They will be very lethargic, very ignorant. They will be suffering from ignorance and suffering from delusion. All right. Means they have no interest. They have not much interest in that. Tamas Guna, lowest level of virtue. So based on darkness, based on dullness, and it makes people lead a life of idleness, not interested in life, ignorant, so on and so forth. So that is called Tamas Guna. Now, how to explain this? Let me give you an example. Let me give you my own example. Okay? That will make you understand. You must have met different kind of people in your life. You must have met the people who are so intolerant. You must have met the people who are very tolerant. You must have met lot many people who are very restless, absolutely restless. You must have met people who are very lethargic, very dull, not interested in life, so on and so forth. So depending on the presence of either the Sattva Guna or the Rajas Guna or the Tamas Guna, you find the character of a person. You find the nature of the person. So nature of the person or individual characteristics of the person is always gets determined by the kind of guna that he's having with him. Now, try to understand one point. It is not that the person who is having Sattva Guna, he is not having Rajas Guna. No. So a person having Sattva Guna can have Rajas Guna as well, can have a Tamas Guna as well. But the point is, which Guna is prominent in him? That is important. Which Guna is prominent in him? So his character, his sanskara would be reflected by the kind of Guna that he has. Okay. So I was telling you, I'll give you my example to make you understand about the Guna of the people and what the sanskara of the people. Okay. Though it is not related with, though it is related with what I'm teaching, but it is slightly in a different manner. I was driving down for taking my class, and it was about the class I had about 2:30 p.m. Okay. So I was driving to the institute for taking a class. I had to cover a distance of about 34, 35 odd kilometers from my residence to the institute. It was a meet afterward. Right. Now, while I was driving down on the road, on the highway, somebody was using a pressure horn. He was behind me and he was blowing up the pressure horn. He wanted me to give him a side. Unfortunately, there was a truck going on my left side. All right. And I was driving on the extreme right. All right. And there is a truck going on my left side. So unless and until I am given side by the truck, I will not be able to give side to the person who is blowing his horn. All right. No, there is no way. And the truck was fully loaded and it was moving very, very slowly. So it was very difficult for me, though I could understand that the way the person is blowing horn means he is in a hurry. All right. So, but I could not do it. I was helpless. So what happened is that after about 3 or 4 minutes, I got an opportunity and I gave him a side. All right. The moment I gave him a side, he crossed me, he overtook me and placed his vehicle in front of my vehicle, in front of my car. Look into him, look into that. Now, had the person really been in hurry, the moment he got the opportunity to get the side, he would have moved away. So he placed his car in front of me, he stopped his car, came near my car, and started banging the door of my car. Intentionally, I did not come out of the car because I could see, I could gauge the anger of a person. So I did not come out of the car. My car was locked from inside. But yes, I put down the window of my car and I asked him, what is the matter? Very, very politely. And he said that I was asking you for the side and why you are not giving me the side. I said very politely that it was not possible for me. The moment it became possible, I have given you the side. He became so abusive, you cannot imagine. I did not react. I did not utter a word. I kept my calm and I was just coolly sitting on the car and listening to whatever he was saying without reacting. Because had I reacted, probably the situation could have become different. He kept on abusing, he was very abusive. But what happened is that since I did not react, for about 3 to 4 minutes, I kept my calm. And when I kept my calm, he became so tired. And I mean, his entire body was shivering, you know, because of his anger, his entire body was shivering. And ultimately, he became so tired. He felt like fainting and he stopped. Then I asked him, all the Mahabharata and Gita and Ramayana that you were telling me, is it over now? he could not utter a word. He did not utter a word. And very coolly, he went and he went near his car, he sat down on his car, he started his car, and he moved away. Now, why I've told you this story? That shows the sanskar of a person. What a point. How do you behave? How do you react? How do you behave? That shows your sanskar. That shows the kind of guna that you have. So maybe I'm a person who's having Sattva-guna, but I'm a person who's also having a Rajas-guna. I'm a person who's having also Tamas-guna, and all of us are having like that. But the thing is, if Sattva-guna is more in quantity, that will not let your Rajas-guna overpower your Sattva-guna. If your Sattva-guna is more in quantity, that will not let your Tamas-guna overpower your Sattva-guna. All right. So these things are, if you look into the behavior of the people whom you meet in your day-to-day life, you find that these gunas that we are talking about, that was talked by Manu in the Manusmriti, that was a part of the Dharmshastra tradition, it still continues to be very valid. All right. Now, so when we have talked about Sattva-guna, Rajas-guna, and Tamas-guna, the highest level of virtue, middle level of virtue, and lowest level of virtue. Now, what is important for us to understand in that? The first important point, guna of each person is dependent on his or her inherent quality. What is my quality? Are you getting a point? It is not at all related to your social status in the Varna system. Don't get confused what I'm saying. I'm saying that the guna of means what I'm trying to tell you is that a person who belongs to Brahmin community under the Varna system is not a natural heir of the Sattva-guna. Now that is the point. A person who is part of the Brahmins community as a part of the Varna system is not the natural inheritor of the Sattva-guna. A person in the Brahmin community, a person belonging to a person taking birth in the Brahmin community does not necessarily is the inheritor of the Sattva-guna. Or a person having taken birth in the Sudra community under the Varna system is not necessarily the inheritor of the Tamas-guna. All right. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So guna of each person is dependent on the inherent quality of a person, and it is not at all related to the social status in the Varna system or the caste system. So it is quite possible that a high caste person, okay, it is quite possible to find a high class person with a very low level of virtue, or it is possible to find a low caste person with a very high level of virtue. All right. So it is not related with this guna system. It is not at all related with the Varna system or the caste system, so far as I understand. All right. This means a person belonging to Sudra community may have a highest level of virtue, may have a Sattva-guna more. So, what is the meaning of this? That your reputation of being a virtuous person what do I say? That your reputation of being a virtuous person is something which is to be attained by persistent effort, and it is not determined by your birth. So, whether you are a cool-headed person, whether you are a short-tempered person, all right. So, what is your character? What are your virtues? They are not determined by birth, but rather they are attained with a persistent effort. What my point? Any question if you want to ask on this before I shift to the ashrama system? Dharmshastra talks about 4 ashramas, means 4 different phases of life. Each phase of life, each phase of life is spanning over 25 years. So, presumably, 4 ashrama system signifies that lifespan of a person usually would be around 100 years. So 4 ashramas, 4 different phases of life, and each phase of life spreading over 25 years. All right. So roughly the span of human life would not be more than 25 years or something around that. All right. So first phase of life under the ashrama system is called brahmacharya. You are all aware of that. So first part of 25 years of your personal life. First 25 years of your life, you are required to devote on education, training, building your character, so on and so forth. So brahmacharya, first 25 years of life, of your personal life, devoted to education, training, building your character, and so on and so forth. And this requires a lot of quality of self-restraint and control over your senses. The first 25 years requires a lot of self-restraint and control over your senses. All right. So basically a phase which gives emphasis on self-control. Right. The second phase under the ashrama system is called grihasthashram. Okay, brahmachari, then grihasthashram. Grihasthashram means taking care of the family. Okay, so next 25 years of person's life involves acceptance of marriage and building a family and fulfilling family obligation. Grihasthashram. Okay, next 25 years after brahmacharya, next 25 years is grihasthashram, which involves acceptance of marriage. You will be getting married, you will be creating a family, you'll be producing a children, making a family, and fulfillment of family obligations. So grihasthashram, next 25 years. All right. Now, the third part of ashrama system, what is known as Vanprastha, 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 is the third spell of human life. Okay, and third spell of next 25 years of life, and this requires a person detachment from the worldly pursuits, or detachment from the world, detachment from the material things. So gradual detachment. Why detachment? Because now you are nearing, it's very scientific. Now you are nearing the end of your life. Okay? You are nearing the end of your life because next 25 years means you will be almost about 25 years. So from 51 to 75 years, Vanprastha. So third spell of 25 years requires the people to be detaching from the worldly pursuits. They must understand that we are now going back. We are now going to be merged with our soul. Okay. Now we have to leave this material world. All right. So it is essential to prepare yourself for that. And to prepare yourself for that, gradually you have to start detaching yourself from it. Okay, so that is called Vanaprastha. And the fourth is the final stage. Okay, under the ashrama system, that is called sannyas. Sannyas means last 25 years of a person's life. Okay, and this is called, you have started detaching in the earlier phase, Vanaprastha. Now you have to abdicate. Now period of renunciation. Okay, and renunciating everything, leaving everything, abdicating all material things, and accepting spiritual emancipation. Okay, accepting spiritual emancipation. Now you know that now you are going to be liberated out of this body. So you would be taking sannyas. Sannyas means last 25 years, renunciation of everything that you have, you will try to abdicate, you will try to renunciate. All right. And it should be called spiritual emancipation. All right. Now, so what does this mean? 4 ashramas. Now let me interpret that and let me ask you certain questions. What is not clear, that also I'll explain. This means only I'm just giving you my implication of the ashrama system. This means only 4 years, only 1/4 of your personal life is devoted to the physical labor, contributing to the social production. Now, try to understand the point. Okay. From third stage, you are detaching. In the first stage, you are building up your character. In the second stage, that I have talked about, in the second stage, what you have done? The second stage is the Grihastha ashram, the next 25 years after Brahmacharya. There you are accepting marriage, family obligation. All right. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that just 25 years of your life, just 25 years of your life, you are devoting to physical work or physical labor and contributing to the social production. All right. Now, what is not clear? What is not clear and what is the confusion? Question number 1, and very important question. Whether the rule of 4 ashramas that we are talking about, Brahmacharya, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha and Sannyas, whether the rules of 4 ashramas, they uniformly apply to all castes and both the gender or not. There is no clarity that whether the ashrama system that we are talking about, whether it was applicable to all the components of the Varna system, or it was applicable only to the Brahmins, or it was applicable only to the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, it is not very clear. So whether the 4 ashrama system uniformly applied to all the castes and both the genders, men and women, that is not clear. There is no clarity about that. There could be only interpretation, but there is no clarity about that. Second point. Now, whether it involved a violation of the principle of equality or not, if Varna system, if ashrama system was meant only for the top 2 castes or top two Varnas, it was meant only for that, then don't you think that involved violation of the principle of equality or not? If it was not applicable to all the 4 components of the Varna system, this means it was a blatant violation of the principle of equality. So it is not clear. All right. Number 3. If a sizable section, if the greater component of women and greater component of the lower 2 castes, for example, if they are excluded from this. If we are not very clear, but if Vesi community and Shudra community, the last two components of the Varna system, if they are excluded, try to understand the point. If they are excluded from the ashrama system, all right, what would it mean? What would it mean? This would mean that the principle of equality is openly violated. All right. All right. Any question on Varna system? Ashrama system. Now, talking about the source of law. Talking about the source of law under what we call Dharmshastra tradition. What is the source of law? There were 4 sources of law. Talking about the source of law under the Dharmshastra tradition, 4 sources of law. The first one is called Shruti. Shruti means 4 Vedas. Okay? Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Yajur Veda, and Athar Veda. 4 Vedas we had. Okay? So, first source of law was the Shruti or the 4 Vedas. Okay? The second source of law. Amog, we are asking a question, are the phases of life given in Dharmshastra are based on real life observation or are ideological thoughts of man? Now, this is probably based on the ideological thoughts of man. But any ideological thought that you create, you have to understand, any ideological thought that you are creating must be based on some sort of experiences. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Any ideological thought, when Marx gave his thought, it was an ideological thought, but based on Marx's experiences. Plato gave his thought. Okay? Aristotle gave his thought. Plato talked about theory of justice. John Rawls talks about theory of justice. So it was an ideological thought, but any ideology is always influenced by some real life experiences. This is what you have to understand. All right. So it is based on the real life experiences. One more important point, as I have told you, is that don't you feel that there are many of us, you know, in our own country who are following this, what is known as the ashrama system. There are many people who are following the ashrama system. We are following the ashrama system. So, source of law, Shrutis, based on 4 Vedas, the Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, and Athar Ved. So they are the first source of law. Second source of law is Smriti. Smriti means a prescribed law, a legal law. Smriti. Okay? A legal code of conduct. All right. Smriti. So the principle of, that is what is called principle of lawyer's law. Okay? Principle of lawyer's law means a written code of conduct, what is called Smriti. All right. Now, so the law given by Manu is called Manu Smriti. All right. So, Smritis. Third source of law, customs and traditions being followed by the community over a period of time. That also becomes a part of law. A particular tradition, a particular custom being followed over a period of time becomes a source of law. So, in Hindi, we use a term, we call it Sadachar. S-A-D-A-C-H-A-R, Sadachar. Okay. So, customs and traditions. You bow your head in front of your elders. You touch the feet of your parents. Why do you do that? Because that is a part of your character. That is a part of your sadachar. That is a part of your tradition. Respecting your parents. So customs and traditions, they are the third source of law. And fourth source of law is dictates of your conscience. What your conscience tells you, do this. A sense of justice, that is a sense of justice that comes out of your consciousness, that comes out of your own awareness, that comes out of your own consciousness. So we call it dictates of a good conscience, good conscience. So Shrutis, Smritis, customs and traditions, and dictates of a good conscience, that is, what is your inner call? What is your inner call? What is your inner call? What you are told to do? Okay, whether you should be doing something or not. So you take your inner call. That is what is called dictates of your conscience. All right. So these are the four sources of law. Now, talking about the polity, talking about the science of polity in the according to Dharmshastra tradition. So basically, it believes in divine origin of what is known as the kingship theory. Kingship theory means if you compare the polity as a part of Western notion, and if you consider polity as a part of the Manu's notion or the Manusmriti's notion, what is the difference? Talking about the polity, now I'm comparing also with the Western notion and the Manusmriti's notion. Both believe in divine origin. Western notion also started with a divine origin theory of the state. The state is march of God on the earth, Hegel. So, in Western theory or Western notion, monarch is considered to be an agent of God. And monarch is also considered to be a source of law. King created by God. King is the agent of God. He is the source of law. And it is based on the notion, king can do no wrong. It is based on the theory, king can do no wrong. So, according to Western tradition, monarch is the agent of God, as well as he is the source of law. So since he is an agent of God, whatever he's saying, whatever law is providing for, whatever law is making, is bound to be true. He is the only source of law, and it is based on the notion that king can do no wrong. Now, when you talk about the Manu's notion, what is the difference? Let us try to understand. Manu was considered to be the first king. Manu was considered to be the first lawgiver. So in the Manu's notion, human monarch, of course, is created by God. Why human monarch is created by God? In order to save the universe from the terror of anarchy. Without a person being all powerful, okay, everybody is fighting with everyone. So in order to help people coming out of anarchic kind of situation, so human monarch is created by God in order to save the universe out of this terror of anarchy. All right. According to Manusmriti, king is possessing all the qualities of divine. All the divine qualities you will find in the king. What kind of qualities that Manusmriti talks about? Might of Indra. King is having the might or strength of Indra, who is the Lord of heaven. He's having radiance of a sun. He's very bright. He's having a radiance of a sun. At the same time, he is having a wrath of a Yama. Means if you do wrong, like a Yama, he can overpower you. So he is having a wrath of a Yama. Yama means Lord of Death. Again, he is the treasure of Kuber. Kuber means all wealth. He's treasure of Kuber. Who? King is treasure of Kuber. Who is Kuber? Kuber is the Lord of riches, Lord of wealth. All right. And he is possessing the qualities of a pleasantness of the moon. Moon is very pleasant. So he is very cool also. So he is possessing also the quality of a pleasantness of moon. So all unique qualities, according to Manu, as explained Manusmriti, king is possessing all unique qualities and all divine qualities. Why divine qualities? Qualities like might of an Indra. Indra is the Lord of heaven. Wrath of a Yama. If you are doing wrong, he would be like a Yama. So wrath of a Yama, the Lord of death. The treasure of Kuber. Okay, the Lord of riches and pleasantness of the moon. So these are the qualities of a king. All right. So what is the difference that you find in the Western notion and the Indian notion and the Manu notion? The difference is that both of them are talking about the divine origin story of the king. Okay. So but the difference is that monarch or the king in the Western system, he is an agent of, and he's also the source of law. All right. And it believes in the theory, king can do no wrong. Now, Manu's tradition is slightly different because monarch, human monarch, is not an agent of God like what you have in the Western notion. It is the creation of God. All right. So in order to save the universe from chaotic kind of situation, anarchy kind of situation, God has created human God. God has created human monarch. All right. And since it is created by God, so it is possessing all the qualities, all the unique qualities of God is possessed by the monarch. So that is the difference between the Western notion and the Manu's notion. All right. So according to Manu, a king could serve in a best possible manner only when he is acting as a divine representative, because he is created by divine. So only when he acts as a divine representative and he believes in the supremacy of the dharma. Okay? He believes in the supremacy of dharma. This means even king, even the monarch under Dharmshastra is bound by the Dharmshastra tradition. Even a monarch is bound by. Even a monarch is bound by. It is not only the people, not only the masses. Even the king is bound by the terms of Manusmriti. Okay, that he has to go before the supremacy of the dharma, like any other human body, like any other human being. So he is not different. All right. So everybody has to go before the dharma system, but king also is required to go before the dharma system, just like any other human being. All right. What is real dharma? Let us try to understand. Dharma is a very complex concept. Sometimes dharma is considered to be religion. It is translated into the religion. But if you believe in Dharmshastra, if you believe in dharma, it has nothing much to do with the religion. Sometimes we talk in terms of Raj Dharma. What is the dharma of a king? Whether the prime minister is following the Raj Dharma or not. whether the chief minister is following a Raj Dharma or not. Dharma is nothing but a standard of righteousness. It is something that upholds and sustains everything. Dharma is something everybody should be following one's dharma. Means what? If you find somebody in crisis, you must help that person. That is your dharma. If some injustice is being done to someone, you are rising, you are standing to fight against the injustice being done to someone. You will not keep mum, you will not keep quiet. That is your dharma. So dharma is nothing but a standard of righteousness. What is the right thing to do? If everybody is following a dharma, then what is going to happen? Everybody is doing what one is supposed to do. What is going to happen? You can uphold the society. The society will grow. The nation would grow. There will be no problems in the society. So dharma is something that upholds and sustains everything. Rabindranath Tagore, in his book, Crisis in Civilization, written in 1941, Rabindranath Tagore wrote a book, Crisis in Civilization, 1941. And in that book, he elaborates the concept of dharma. Very interesting. He says dharma is a principle that holds all of us together and leads us towards the public welfare. Dharma is something which unites people, and dharma is something which is leading towards the public welfare of the people. He says if a person is rejecting a dharma, it is a person may reject a dharma. But if you are rejecting a dharma, you are opting to be an animal. When you reject a dharma, by rejecting a dharma, you are likely to be an animal. Maybe by rejecting a dharma, he says, maybe by rejecting a dharma, you may get some wealth. Means when you are becoming corrupt, when you are becoming dishonest, you may get some wealth. But he says this will be worse than the death of him as a man. This will be worse than the death of a person as a man. I will repeat this, what I have said so far. We're talking about the real dharma. Crisis in Civilization, a book written by Rabindranath Tagore way back in 1941. And in that he elaborates the concept of dharma. That dharma is a principle that unites all of us for the cause of the public welfare. Nothing can be bigger, nothing can be greater than the cause of public welfare. As so far as cause of public welfare is concerned, public good is concerned, we all should be united, we all should be together. Right? He says a person may reject the dharma, but if you are rejecting a dharma, you are choosing to be living life of an animal. He says by doing this, by rejecting your dharma, you may get some extra wealth, you may get some additional wealth. So by becoming a corrupt, by following corrupt practices, by indulging in dishonesty, you may get some additional, but he says this will be worse than the death of a person as a man. So this is worse than the consequence of that. Consequence of not following the dharma would be worse than the consequence of death. This is what said by Rabindranath Tagore. So, what does it mean? What is dharma now? Have you understood what is dharma now? Dharma is a virtue. It is a sense of justice. It is a superior kind of law that governs the human society as well as the universe. Everybody is supposed to follow dharma. So dharma is a superior law. Why superior law? The law which is prescribed in a law book, it is even superior than that. Why? Because it governs the human society. This governs the universe. So the dharma that we are talking about, or the Manu's dharma that we are talking about, is derived from Vedas. The 4 Vedas that I have talked about. So Manu's dharma is derived from the Veda, that is the source of the Veda. That is the source. It derived from the Vedas. So the dharma that Manu talks about in Manusmriti is a kind of law. It's something which is based on the concept of righteousness. So dharma is a kind of law. It is king of kings. Because king has to follow the dharma. That is why dharma is called king of kings. Because every king is supposed to follow that dharma. So everybody, including the citizens and the king himself, is bound by that dharma. So dharma is a law. Dharma is king of kings. This means dharma is much more powerful than the king, because king also has to follow that dharma. King also has to bow his head before that dharma. So nothing can be mightier, nothing can be more powerful than that dharma. Nothing can be more, because dharma is more powerful than the king. So nothing can be more powerful than dharma. Nothing can be more mightier than dharma. Going further. What are the gunas of the Manu? We have talked about the different kind of gunas. Sattu guna, Rajas guna, Tamas guna. So let us try to find out connectivity between king and the guna. Only that person will be the king who has in abundance the Sattu guna. This is what we presume. Who becomes the philosopher king according to Plato? The person having highest level of knowledge. So Manu, as the representative of God, since Manu is a representative of God, and somebody who is a representative of God must represent. Why God selected Manu to be the first king and Manu to be the first lawgiver? Why? Because Manu is possessing, Manu is representing Sattva guna. So Manu is the inheritor of, Manu is the carrier of Sattva. That is why he is the king. So Manu is having the highest level of virtue of goodness. What is the recommendation for the king in Manusmriti? Recommendation is very clear. A king could achieve highest status only by fulfilling all his duties as prescribed by his dharma. That is the point. A king could achieve highest status. When a king could achieve highest status? King could achieve highest status only by fulfilling all his duties as is mentioned, as is imposed by him according to dharma. So whatever is the duty of the king mentioned in Dharmshastra or mentioned in Manusmriti, by following that duty, okay, the king can achieve highest status. All right. What is the primary duty of a king? The primary duty of the king, as mentioned in Dharmshastra on Manusmriti, the primary duty of the king is protection of his subjects. Here we can refer to what is mentioned in Manusmriti. So I will be quoting some of the sentences that is there, the English translation of Manusmriti. So some of the things I would like to quote here. What is mentioned here? What we are discussing? We are discussing king's primary duties. Manusmriti says, when the god saw that the world is in a state of anarchy, that is what is mentioned. This is English translation. So when the god saw that world is in the state of anarchy, where people are running in different direction from pillar to post, out of fear. Why? Why people are running here and there? Because there is an anarchic kind of situation. So when the god saw that the people in the world, that the people in the world are living in a state of anarchy. People are roaming around. They're moving in different direction, running in different direction, out of fear. He created the king for everybody's protection. Who created the king? The God created the king. For whose protection? Everybody's protection. Why he created? Because he saw that there is a state of anarchy. All right. Now, so the primary duty of the king is protection of his subjects. All right. Now, there is something called dandaniti. Dand is danda, a kind of rod. What is dandaniti? So basically we talk about what is the relationship between king and danda. Danda is basically a kind of punishment that you are giving. In Manusmriti, king is supposed to be someone who is holding a danda, who is holding a rod in his hand. Means, which literally means that he is holding that rod to punish the people. So what is the significance of that danda? What is the significance of that rod? Danda signifies state power. Danda is basically symbolizing the state power. So that is from where the word has come, dandaniti. Okay. So danda is, so king is holding a danda, and that danda symbolizes the state power. All right. So from danda, the word has come dandaniti. Okay. So What is Dandiniti? Dandiniti is an application of the state power. How the state is using its power, that is called Dandiniti. Okay. So the significance of Danda that he's having, that shows that the king is strong enough, powerful enough to take action against the wrong, but at the same time, Manu wanted his king to behave like a father towards all. Okay, so if you are doing wrong, as a father, king like a father can give you punishment. So that is the thing. All right. What is the system of taxation under Manusmriti? Okay, so it is a complete, Manusmriti is a complete statecraft. Now, what is the system of taxation under the Dharmshastra tradition? According to Manusmriti, king is entitled to receive 1/6 of the wealth of his subjects as a tax. Okay, king is supposed to receive, king is entitled to receive 1/6 of the wealth of his subject as tax. Okay, why the tax? What for people are paying 1/6 of their wealth? It is a kind of fee. It is a kind of fee that is being charged for providing a solid protection and security to the man and their property. So 1/6 of the wealth of the people is supposed to be given to the king for the purpose of providing them protection and providing the protection of their property. So 1/6 of the tax you are giving. All right. And Manusmriti also mentioned the fact that if king fulfills his duties very efficiently, if king fulfills his duty very efficiently, he is also entitled to earn 1/6 of the divine reward. So God would be pleased because king is performing his duties very nicely. So Manusmriti says that if king is performing his duty very nicely, he would be rewarded by the God in the form of 1/6 of the divine reward. 1/6 of the total divine reward would be going to the king. Why? Because he's performing his job very efficiently. All right. But if king fails to perform his duties properly, Manusmriti says king would be condemned to receive 1/6 of the divine wrath. God becomes unpleasant. God becomes unhappy. Why? Because the king has not performed his duty sincerely. So if you perform your duty sincerely, apart from 1/6 of the wealth that you receive as a tax, you also receive 1/6 of the divine blessings. And if you fail to do your job properly, then you are likely to be condemned to receive 1/6 of the divine wrath. Divine wrath means what? Divine wrath means God becomes angry. And what God becomes angry? So this is like going to hell. 1/6 of the divine wrath means 1/6 of the hell you are likely to receive. So this is what is mentioned in the Manusmriti. So in nut and shell, what we can say is that king was given extraordinary power, but the extraordinary power that was given to the king was entirely dependent upon fulfilling the extraordinary duties that he was assigned. So extraordinary power to the king would be justified only when the king performs his duties extraordinarily. Okay, so that is all about the Dharmshastra. Any question, if you have in mind, you can ask me. I have tried to keep the things, it is very complicated. I have tried to keep the things very simple. And this is the way, if you are asked a question, this is the way you need to write. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Collecting taxes from the treasure of the temple, is it from Arthashastra? I have not come across. I have not come across this. Okay, that in Arthashastra, I don't think there is any mention about collecting taxes from the temple. Okay. Uh, uh, I'll try to answer your question when we do Arthashastra, but I have no evidence so far, that in Arthashastra we talk about collection of taxes from the temple. I don't think so. Where in our country, is I don't think that in any of the temple is paying a tax. I don't think. Are you aware of any temple paying tax to the government? Rather, they are claiming all the benefits. Tirupati funds getting used by the state power. Okay. Now the question is whether the fund which is used by the state, the Tirupati funds, whether it is done voluntarily by the Tirupati, Tirumala Pakistan, they are voluntarily contributing, or the state has got no right. Okay. See, unless and until they make a law to take the property of the temples. All right. So unless and until do that, see, I'm not very sure about this, but maybe the Tirupati and Tirumala body, they might have decided to voluntarily donate something. I'm not aware of this. To be very frank, I'm absolutely wrong on this. All right. I'm absolutely wrong on this. But the thing is, see, suppose, for example, see, the temples have a lot of wealth. And many times, there has been many articles in the Hindu newspaper and Indian newspaper, many times it is asked, is that so much of the wealth, so much of the gold that is lying in these temples, and particularly in the temples of the south, as well as some temples from the north, is that why should not they be used for the betterment of the people? Why they should not be used for the welfare of the people? Okay, so much of wealth lying in the temple, why should not it be used? So there has been many suggestions that government should pass certain laws, but government doesn't want to play with the sentiments of the people. And particularly the kind of government that we have right now is basically cannot undertake any such step. But there has been a suggestion for many quarters, suggesting that these temples, these religious places who have a lot of wealth, they should voluntarily contribute. Already they are involved in all the kind of charitable activities. Temples are themselves doing it. All right. But there's so much surplus wealth they have, so it has been suggested that they should contribute towards that. The next topic that we'll take up. You see, when you are giving primacy to dharma, you are asking a question that why is the social, why religious life and the political life, they were kept separate, social life. See, basically what you need to understand is that when you are giving primacy to dharma, all right, so you have to see, you cannot give primacy to dharma. You are not in a position to give primacy. Since you give primacy to dharma, so for that, what is required is the two aspects of a life should be kept separate. Without that, see, there is likely to be mixing up of the two things. Okay, so in order to keep the morality level very high, in order to keep the morality level very high, in order to keep sense of righteousness very high, that is why probably no reason has been given. But what I'm speculating is that in order to, since in order the two dimensions of life were kept separate, primarily because of the fact, because dharma has been kept on a very highest pedestal. That could be the probable reason, but I don't think that any specific reason for this they have given. More would be clear when we talk about Kautilya's Arthashastra, things will be more clear to you. All right. When we talk about Kautilya, as we are all aware, was Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya. All right. And as I was just trying to explain, that you will have more clarity about the two traditions. The two things were kept separate because I have given you my own speculation, because there is supremacy of religion over supremacy of politics. But Kautilya's tradition or Arthashastra tradition is a departure from that tradition. Which tradition? In which there is supremacy of religion over politics. All right. Now, what is the difference? Now, in the new Kautilya's tradition, Arthashastra tradition, independent status is given to the polity. All right. And polity is treated at par with the religion. That is the basic difference. In Kautilya's tradition, politics is considered to be an independent entity. Independent status is given to polity because politics is considered to be a primary institution. All right. And it is brought at par with dharma. Polity is brought at par with the dharma. Okay. It is not made superior to dharma. It is not made superior to religion, but it is brought at par with them. Okay. In 16th century Europe, there is supremacy of religion in all aspects of social life. We are aware of that. And that was challenged by the concept of state sovereignty. You are aware of that. So supremacy of church supremacy of religion, which was prevalent in all aspects of human life in 16th century Europe, that was challenged by the concept of state sovereignty. Similarly, the higher status that was being accorded to dharma, higher status of supremacy of religion, was challenged by bringing politics at par with religion. So similar kind of situation, what happened in Europe in 16th century was replicated here. All right. So Kautilya, as we know, is the chief exponent of Arthashastra. In order to have a better understanding of Arthashastra, we need to understand, and I have already explained that, the concept of Purushartha, or the principal object of man's life. What are the principal objects of man's life? Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. Let me clarify this concept, because without understanding this, you cannot understand Kautilya's Arthashastra. So Purushartha talks about principal objects of human life. What are the 4 objects of man's life? Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. Dharma means performance of one's duty as prescribed by the sacred law. As prescribed by the sacred law. Performing the duties as per the law. Arth, acquisition of material wealth. Dharma is first, Artha is second, Kama, Kama means gratification of your desire, sensual enjoyments, the third one. Fourth, moksha, liberation, final liberation, or emancipation of a soul. So these are the four objects. All right. What we have studied just few minutes back, immediately before the Kautilya period, what we had a Dharmshastra tradition. Now, while we are discussing Arthashastra tradition. What was there in Dharmshastra tradition? Primacy of dharma. How it was regulated? By Dharmshastra. Is this considered to be a sacred law? Dharma is primary, and all other aspects of man's life, earth, kam, and moksha. Dharma is the first one, and all other pursuits of human life, earth, kam, and moksha, were all considered to be a minor accompaniment of dharma. Major accompaniment, major component is major component. What is the major component? Dharma is the major component. And earth, kam, and moksha, they are the minor component. This is what is there in Dharmshastra tradition. Now, what is there in Arthashastra tradition? Pursuit of wealth or pursuit of earth could be considered as an end in itself. Earlier, dharma was an end. And all other pursuits, earth, kam, and moksha, they were just supporting that. They were a minor accompaniment. Major was dharma. So I'm trying to explain how Arthashastra tradition is different from Shastra tradition. That pursuit of wealth under Arthashastra tradition is considered to be an end in itself rather than a means to the pursuit of dharma. Okay? In Dharmshastra tradition, Artha was considered to be a minor accompaniment. Okay? A means. Okay? In Arthashastra tradition, earth is considered to be an end in itself, all right, rather than a means to an end, that is dharma, that is there in the old tradition. So that is the major difference between Dharmshastra and Arthashastra tradition. Okay. Now, why we are studying Kautilya? Why is it essential to study Kautilya? Is it just because he has given primacy to Artha or primacy to materialism? Is it because of that? The answer is no. Before Kautilya, the knowledge about the polity, the knowledge about the state was lying scattered here and there. And moreover, polity was not enjoying any independent status in Dharmshastra. Polity was not enjoying any independent status in Dharmshastra. So two things I've told you. Polity was not enjoying any independent status, and all the information regarding polity and the state was lying scattered here and there. Correct? Means polity was subservient to dharma. In other words, in Dharmshastra tradition, polity was subservient to dharma. Now what Kautilya did, Kautilya became the first thinker, he became the first Indian philosopher to consolidate all the knowledge about the polity in the form of Arthashastra as a guidance, as a guide to the princess, as a guide to the king, as a guide to the statesman. We can compare Kautilya with Machiavelli that we have studied. So what Machiavelli had done, he belonged to a phase wherein he belonged to transition phase. So from medievalism to modernity, he belonged to that phase. And what Kautilya did, Kautilya came out with his book, The Prince, in which is a statecraft. He is guiding the king that what the king should be doing and what the king should not be doing. So the same kind of status is given to Kautilya's Arthashastra because he became the first king to consolidate all the knowledge about the polity, about the state in Arthashastra as a form of guide for the future kings. That is his contribution. All right. So I just given a background about what is Arthashastra, how it is different from Dharmshastra, and tomorrow when we start, a brief comparison of the two and the purpose why it was written and what is his thought. So everything we'll be talking about tomorrow. Any question if you have in mind, you can ask me. All right. Thank you, everyone. God bless all of you. See you tomorrow, same time.